What's up, everyone? Welcome to 49ers Coast to Coast. We're your hosts, Cohn, Jason Aponte. Jason, nice to see you in Palo Alto last weekend. Nice to watch
Yeah,
Chip Kelly do his thing. How you doing?
I'm great. It was really nice to see you. It was awesome to go to a college football game while I was out there too. It just happened to be your alma mater. We kind of snuck down close to the UCLA band. They're lit, man. They know what they're doing. That was really cool, honestly. So that was awesome, and it was dope to see you and get to hang out with you for a little bit.
Yeah, as opposed to Stanford's band. What the hell is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look,
Have you ever seen it before?
No, I haven't.
Weird.
But if I never hear Mo Bamba one more time for the rest of my life, it'll be too soon. So that goes to the UCLA band. They literally played it every 3 songs. So
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, the title of the show is there division in the organization? And before, I want to give a disclaimer: the Niners are 2-1. They could be 3-1 in a few days, and all this stuff could go away. What we're talking about today is like the seedlings, the sprouts of what could become problems later on, and they only become problems if the Niners lose. So these things could go away. But I do think a lot's at stake. It's year 5. We've talked about it. There's a lot. It's not exactly what Robert Saleh's facing in New York, although who knows if he's going to make it to year 2. But that's a different story. We're talking about Kyle and what's going on right here. So, I mean, you saw the Seth Wickersham piece. It was very clearly pointing the finger at the 49ers coaching staff for not bringing in Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches were skeptical. They watched the tape. They concluded that he wasn't that much better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's why Tom Brady isn't here. What did you think of that?
I think that a lot of people are, a bit overreacting right now because that's revisionist history. So if you go back, and this is a perfect time to plug an episode that you and I did, the timeline of the quarterbacks as well too, because we touched on the Tom Brady thing, and I think that that's really important right now, especially with what's going on right now. So if you get a chance when you're done with this, go revisit that one and check out the episode that Grant and I did with that. But here's the thing. It's a little bit of revisionist history for the people that are outraged, because how many people walked away after that last year with the New England Patriots and said, this man is cooked. This man is washed. And when he went to Tampa Bay, they literally said the words, that's the best 8-8 team I've ever seen. Little did you know that that's not the case, and he still had a rocket on.
People here should remember that, because I was advocating for this after the Super Bowl loss, and no one wanted to hear it. Yeah. People were like, nah, he's 15 years younger than Brady. It's a bad mistake. And then when I picked the Buccaneers to go to the Super Bowl last year, people thought I was trolling. Yeah. But I really think there was a large segment of the Niners and the Niner fan base that just thought Brady was done.
And here's the part that I disagree with on this. I don't really think that they really believed that he was done. I just think that the age was too much to commit to, right? Because Brady wanted $2 for $50 million, and we knew that before this report came out, that's what he wanted. And ultimately, that's kind of what really set this off, where it was like, man, we can't pay him that much, and Kyle, walked away from it and everything. But I don't really think that it was so much that they thought he was as cooked as 49ers fans and people around the league believed. I think that it's more the age thing, right? And I think that there was still some sort of optimism that Jimmy Garoppolo was not completely at his ceiling, right? You thought, hey, 2019, you unlock it, and now you start to get better. So I'm not going to fault the thought process at that moment, right? Obviously, in hindsight, this looks awful. And even with all the injuries, and I know that people are going to bring up, well, the offensive line couldn't block. Could Tom Brady? Yes, Tom Brady could navigate that. You know why? Because aside from his skills and his arm, that still is great and is still better than Jimmy Garoppolo's even at his age right now, his mental capacity for him to get the ball out, recognize the blitzes, and protect himself was second to none. He's not double clutching in the pocket. He knows where the throws are, and he knows how to get rid of them. So it's just funny to see now the outrage now from people who literally would look you right in the face at that time right after the Super Bowl and say that Jimmy Garoppolo is the better option than Tom Brady because of the feel-good 2019 season. That blinded everybody to it. And everybody believed, man, this guy's cooked. You watched him in that last Patriots game against the Titans, and they lost, and Brady threw a pick 6 in that game. Man, the time has finally come. I don't know if it was all that. I don't know if it was really his weapons at the time or everything else, but obviously Tom Brady's not cooked. And right now that looks like a bit of a mistake. So I just want to clear that up, because there was so many people who were just adamant against Tom Brady. No chance, don't want him. He's too old. He's cooked. And now they're like, oh man, what are they thinking? You got to kind of check yourself a little bit, because we can still go back on your Twitter replies and we can go look up your name and find out where you were at on this subject. It wasn't that far long ago.
Not me, though. I was all in on Tom Brady. Here, I want to take this a whole different way, because I'm not here to decide, should Tom Brady be on the team and who had it first. Why is this coming out now? That's the most interesting part about this.
So
Why is
this
it
is
coming
the
out
thing.
now?
This is the thing, Grant, and this is what we talked about with the draft process. And I kept telling you, we're never going to learn really what's going on with this until years down the line and when things start to come out little by little. And it's already starting to happen. Now, this begs the question, why? Right? Like, why right now? Why right
I have
now
a
when
theory.
Yo, okay, go for it.
Okay, so look, this is my theory. To me, now I know Seth Wickersham came out with a book, and this has been brewing for a while, and this is old news. And the information in the book is that it's the coaching staff that didn't want him. But then
Yeah.
Matt Mayoko writes an article today and says he has a source that confirms Wickersham's information. Who would know other than the highest people in this organization? And I don't think Kyle Shanahan's telling on himself. So for whatever reason, people high up in the Niners were like, yeah, that's true, what Seth said. I want you to know that. And it seems to me that this just puts the way I see this is, I believe that Kyle wanted Mac Jones. I believe that he tried to pivot to Aaron Rodgers. I believe that Trey Lance was the final decision. And I think that he feels that he was probably forced to take him. Not that he doesn't like him, but I think he feels it wasn't his decision. It was essentially John Lynch and the organizations. And so what can he do to get back at them if he needs to? Not play him. Because if this season goes sideways and Jed wants to fire someone, Kyle can be like, well, don't fire me. I didn't want Trey Lance. I didn't want Aaron Banks. I didn't want Trey Sermon. I don't want Ambry Thomas. He's the GM. He made these. You were there. He made these picks on his own. And I said, okay, so fire him. And then I'm just guessing. And then John could be like, well, yeah, but you didn't want Mahomes. You didn't want Brady. It's a little late. It's a little late now, Kyle. Anyway, if they win this weekend, none of this stuff matters. But the blame game happens fast in the NFL. And this is how I envision it in my head. The blame game.
Well, I will say this.
It's early blame game.
I will say this. The more and more that comes out about this leads me to believe more and more that Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones more than anything.
Yeah.
The only part that I disagree with is that he was swayed by the public. There was no backlash or anything that came from the outside that swayed him. But I do believe that
by the organization.
I was going to say
swayed by the public.
Right. So Jed York, well, I don't know if they necessarily were swayed by the public, but I know that I'm pretty certain that Jed York went into that office and said, if you take someone at number 3, it's not going to be Mac Jones. It needs to be a game changer, and you need to have somebody. Yeah, so
I'm with Jed on that.
Right.
I'm with Jed on that.
Don't get the safe pick at 3. You got to swing for the fences on this one. So that's where I feel like he was overruled. But the more and more that comes out about this is two things I know for certain. It was never Justin Fields, and it was way more Mac Jones than people really want to believe or want to accept at this point.
And again, let's go back to you talked about the timeline. I was thinking about that timeline. I was thinking about that today. To me, the timeline, I think, is this. Somehow it was either communicated or it's understood. You got to make the playoffs this year. Yeah. If you don't, someone might get fired. And that makes things very serious. So Kyle and John are like, okay, well, we need a new quarterback then. If that's how it's going to be, then we're going to need a new quarterback. And Stafford didn't work out. Watson didn't work out. They traded up without knowing who they wanted.
Darnold didn't work out. Darnold didn't work out.
So they trade up without even knowing who they want. Kyle says he wants Mac Jones. The rest of the organization's like, what? The fan base is like, what? They pivot to Aaron Rodgers at the end, don't pull it off, land with Trey Lance. But the reason that Kyle wanted Mac Jones, in his words, Mac Jones is a starting quarterback. And for him to be right, Trey has to be a backup this year. And so what Kyle, to me, is doing is just proving himself right once again. Okay, you wanted Trey Lance? Well, you wanted a backup quarterback. We'll see if he's a starter next year.
Right. And my theory has always been that he's taking it slow with Trey Lance because it resets his timeline. Like if you put him out there right, if you put him out there right away, then you've got to start to like make it happen right away because you're confident in him and you chose him, right? But if you let him sit for a year, you can say, hey, listen, I tried to do the right thing by the kid, and now next year I'll get him rolling. You know,
True.
So I kind of believe that. I mean, again, Jimmy has to fall flat on his face, or get hurt before you'll see Trey Lance.
Because honestly, Jimmy didn't get on the field when he came to the Niners until an injury happened.
Right. And then after he threw the one touchdown, it was like, all right, well, screw it. We're gonna roll with them. And it was the excitement around it. But I truly believe that Kyle Shanahan's taking his time with this because he's resetting his timeline. Like he really doesn't want to have to be forced to make a move to this kid because now once you make the move to Lance, that's it. Like you have to instantly produce because you're Kyle Shanahan, you're the creative genius, you're the play caller that everybody wants. This is your guy. You've got to make it work right away. But why not put that off another year and also say, hey, listen, I never really wanted Jimmy Garoppolo to begin with. I'm just trying to make it work the best that I can at this point.
Yeah. All I see is Kyle not playing Lynch's picks and weird leaks come out now that make the coaching staff look not so good. I thought this whole regime was about no leaks. All of a sudden, well, when things get rough. Anyway, one loss. This is one loss in year 5. But what I want to remind you is year 4 with Harbaugh, the leaks started happening before the first game. They said he lost the locker room before the first game, and they won that game. These things happen quick. All right. The next level of it, of possible division. I noticed after the game, they're not running the ball well. And someone asked George Kittle, what's up with that? He's like, oh, yeah, we're not prepared for the fronts we're seeing. And we're not adjusting quickly enough. I was like, oh, like,
that's not what you want to hear.
You're blaming your coach. Okay, that's very interesting. And only someone like George Kittle could ever say something like that. In football, you don't do stuff like that. But George Kittle can. So, okay, that's after the game. Jimmy yesterday, same question. What's up with the run game? Yeah. And I asked him, are there just fronts that you guys are struggling with? And he's like, it's not fronts. It's just that we're not prepared for them. It's looks that we're not getting during the week, and then we're being surprised during the game. So we asked Mike McDaniel about that today, and he goes, yeah, no, I mean, I can understand them making that mistake in the heat of the moment afterward, but after watching the tape, they'll clearly see that it was execution. So very professional and polite, but that's two of the top guys on the team, Jimmy and George, essentially pointing the finger at the play design, and the play designer pointing the finger right back at Jimmy and George, which is just not what you want. You want a united front in football, and it's very hard to get that big of a team working together. But right now, I don't know. What do you think of that?
I think that was a little bit concerning that there's 3 different answers. Different answers, like, and you could say what you want about, how they were attacked. But, for me, as much as
And Jimmy said this yesterday after watching the film. So right. I don't know what Mike was talking about there.
So as much as I love Kyle Shanahan, I get scared when I hear guys say, oh, they're not ready for the fronts.
What? What are you doing, Kyle? Like, are you mailing it in? Are you delegating to Mike McDaniel? Is he over his head? What's going on here? Because
where's the adjustment? Right. Where's the adjustment? If you are what we all think you are in terms of your play calling and your play designing, why are you getting beat?
Especially when it comes better from you, Kyle.
Right. And when you're talking about the Packers, it's not like the Packers are the Bucs defense up front where you literally cannot run the ball anywhere, and then you have to figure stuff out. Like the Packers were getting gashed by everybody under the sun. I mean, Jamal Williams went in there and he was ripping off big run after big run. So that's concerning. And then the 3 different answers, that's concerning. So it kind of lends you to believe that there's a little bit of, I don't know, chaos, I guess, in what's going on right now. And I think that there's a lot of pressure. Like you said, there's a lot of pressure on everybody right now. Obviously, Jimmy's playing for his quarterback life in this league. And I think that this roster and this team knows that they can't afford to have another losing season, and they can't blame it on
this is kind of the last dance in certain ways, right?
Yeah, in a certain way, because all this team has talked about, and you and I have been trying to tell people to pump the brakes. Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Why do you believe that that's the point? Like, why do you believe that would be a successful season? A successful season is a playoff berth and a victory in a wild card game while you're moving forward with your next guy. There's no reason for anybody to have the expectations of Super Bowl. Obviously, that is what you always want as a fan, but you have to be realistic. We knew that this defense wasn't going to be as good as 2019. It is going to regress, and it still has a chance to be top 10. All those things are true. The difference is 2019 is 2019. That's why I said I muted 2019 and Super Bowl. I don't want to hear it anymore. This is not that team. But when you come in and you start leading people to believe, hey, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, and you're starting to say things in games after games, or you're starting to look bad against Philly for a little while, the offense is stagnant, and then people are giving 3 different answers, why wouldn't anybody be concerned about that? So it lends yourself to believe, like, again, I know we talked about it, and I know it has to be with the quarterback thing, but what if there was no plan for quarterback? None. Everything was just, hey, you? No. All right. You? No. All right. You? No. All right. That guy? No. You know what? Let's
Aaron Rodgers?
Okay.
Oh, no.
Aaron Rodgers? No. Right. Exactly. So it's like when you literally are on quarterback Tinder, swiping right on every able-bodied quarterback in the world, it doesn't lend you to believe that there's some sort of plan. Literally every able-bodied 2-armed quarterback who has ever played in the NFL was connected to the 49ers. And I'm not lying. This isn't my opinion. This is what it was. So again, there is a little bit of chaos in this right now at this point. And again, there is a little bit of pressure on this because of the expectations that were set on this team. Tried to tell everybody to chill out with that. Tried to tell everybody that a successful season is a division win or a wild card berth or something like that. But nobody wants to hear that. Everybody just wants to press the button, go back to 2019 and fix those last few minutes of that Super Bowl and finally get the ring done. It's not how this league works. It's not. You have to be realistic with yourself.
Okay, let's do the other side of the coin here. I'm not done with division. I'm just getting started. So, like the defensive equivalent of what's going on offense. What's going on offense is there's no run game and there's no. It's curious as to why, because that's their specialty. And then on defense, there's no pass rush, or at least there wasn't in this last game. And today at the podium, if you're watching this later, it was Thursday at the podium. D'Amico Ryan's first, Nick Bosa second, and we're just getting a feel for how D'Amico answers questions. If this were Robert Saleh, he would go out of his way to try to say some specifics and make it seem like he has it under control. He would want you to feel like he knows what he's doing. D'Amico was much more buttoned up. He pretty much didn't say anything, which is his choice. I'm not saying he doesn't know what to do. He just didn't feel the need to explain himself. So, okay, he doesn't really answer the questions about it. He just says, we got to fix it. We're going to fix it. We got to fix it. Okay, so Nick Bosa comes out, and he says, yeah, he's much more specific. That's what I like about Nick Bosa. He's extremely specific and honest. And he says, well, we need to call chip beaters, like stunts to the inside. And, if it's third down and it's obvious that you're going to get chips, you need to make those calls. And I don't know why we didn't in this game, but I'm sure we will going forward. Well, what does that sound like to you, Jason?
Not being prepared. Now, here's the thing.
He's pointing at D'Amico. He didn't make the adjustment. He didn't adjust.
And look, all right. On the other side of that, Nick Bosa has not seen the chip block all 3 weeks, and everybody has been using that against him. Tunyon did it to him 2-3 times in this game where he was literally on his back. Yeah. Here's another thing. Aaron Rodgers and this offensive line in this game, they knew exactly what they needed to do. Knock Nick Bosa down and get the ball out as fast as you can. They executed flawlessly at this point. I mean, when I watched the tape and I watched it back, there's 2 and 3 times where Tunyon comes across, and if he doesn't put Nick Bosa on his back, he's at least knocking him off to the point where by the time you get back to the quarterback, the ball's already out. Like, he already knows what he's doing. So I don't know what they can necessarily do for that. You can try those stunts and everything as well, too. But at the same time, Nick, you are literally standing next to a guy, and it happens every week, basically. It's all there for anybody to go back and look at. The chips are getting to him. They're hitting him, and he doesn't see it coming at all. I don't necessarily know if that's something D'Amico can change, or more just like, man, be aware. Like, if this is happening, this is the third straight week. Come on, man. Like, he's right next to you. He's about to try to hit you. Like, watch out for it.
Right. I'm not taking sides. I think you're right.
Yeah.
He even said he needs to be more aware. I mean, to be fair to Bosa, he didn't just put it all on D'Amico. Mm-hmm. He did say, I need to be more aware, and I need to not be so surprised when it does happen and get back into my rush. But the fact that he said we also need to call these chip beaters, and I don't know why they were called, and we need to adjust, and I don't know why we didn't. Look, that's what I'm focused on here. I'm not saying Nick's right, but the fact that he feels that he has the license to say that. I've been covering the team 11 years. Players don't talk like this. It's a very much a militaristic society, and there's a chain of command, and you don't talk out of turn. And if Vic Fangio was a defensive coordinator, Justin Smith wouldn't have said stuff like, he just wouldn't have, out of respect. And I get it. I mean, this is a veteran team, and they don't want a rookie quarterback right now, but they do have a rookie defensive coordinator, and they do have a rookie offensive coordinator. And certain players on this team feel like they have more authority to talk about these things than those guys. And that, to me, it's not good. It's not, maybe it's not bad, but it's not what I'm used to, man. It's a chain of command.
Right.
You respect that.
You know, I feel there's a lot of frustration coming out of this loss because guys understand that it was a winnable game. And I feel like the defense themselves, they feel like they let them down, even though the defense is the reason that they stayed in this game. How many times did they get flipped on the wrong side of the field and stop the Packers from scoring? So
true.
For everybody making fun of the defense, that game could have been lost pretty quickly if the defense doesn't hold them to 3 every single time that they get down there, basically. So with that being said, at the same time, there feels like a lot of frustration coming out. That's why guys are kind of scrambling at this point, because they felt like they were supposed to win this game. And now the pressure's on because guess who's there? He's the man under the bed. He's the boogeyman in the closet. It's Russell Wilson. 2 things are going into this game. Jimmy Garoppolo's never lost back-to-back starts. Russell Wilson's never lost 3 straight starts. One of those things is going to happen in this game, and I don't know what it will be yet. I still haven't made up my mind on where this game is going to go right now, because no matter how bad Seattle's playing, no matter how bad, no matter what happened the week before, somehow they are going to turn it on. And this is another thing that's kind of bothering me about the 49ers. Bad defense, bad defense, bad defense, but they somehow look like good defenses against you. Like, the Packers get chewed up. Even though they beat the Lions are just bad, right, on defense themselves. But Jared Goff was lighting them up. They had a good plan. They were moving the ball. They were running the ball well. They had to abandon the run once the game got out of hand, right? The Eagles game. Eagles don't really have too good of a defense at this point. You were stagnant the entire time. Packers, again, you didn't do anything. Now Seattle is last in the league with yards allowed. But what would not lead me to believe the fact that Seattle would come out and all of a sudden be this defense that you're just like, oh, wow, look how good they're playing defense now, even though they have all these weaknesses. So, again, it's about starting fast. It's about having a plan. Those scripted plays in the beginning, they're not working because the 49ers are not starting fast at all. It seemed like the only reason that they really got back in this game was Trenton Cannon's kickoff return, which led to points, and then they got the ball back and scored again. So it's a lot to dissect right now. I mean, at the end of the day, the sky isn't falling, in my opinion. The sky's not falling, but there is cause for concern. Some fatal flaws will pop up, especially with Jason Verrett gone. This is worst case scenario, Grant. Remember, Jason Verrett gets hurt. Now, now the corners are it's just whatever now at this point, and you really can't have them back there trying to cover for too long at this point. And almost everybody got whipped this week, so I'm not going to point the finger at anybody.
Yeah. Before we move on, all I want to say on this one, like you said, the sky's not falling. It's not an issue yet. But if they lose the next 2 games and the season starts going bad, I don't think you're going to have the same thing we had in the past where they were fighting till the end and they were still united and they were winning games with CJ Beathard. Like, I think if this goes bad, you're going to see this team tear itself apart. You're going to see a lot of bitterness and a lot of blame. And maybe that's comes with the territory in year 5 with high expectations. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think this team's going to win 9 or 10 games and basically be in the hunt for a playoff spot. But
I still think they're going to be fine.
Weird, I think this is going to be a very, very dramatic year.
This is a big game. This one's a big game because if they win on Sunday Night Football, then this one isn't so much as a must-win, even if it is Seattle or anything like that, because then you're 3-1 at the end of this, but you need to be 3-1 after the end of this game. But I still believe that this team is going to be fine. They just gotta pick it up. They gotta start faster. If they start faster in this game and they put Seattle in a position where they got to throw the ball, it could be advantageous to them. But they have to start fast. They cannot start slow and have Jimmy Garoppolo try to get them back in these games. It's just not the way that this team was built. They're still trying to ride that 2019 wave. But for this offense to work, that defense has to be top 2 dominant, not top 10. Not top 10.
Yeah,
that's above average. They need to be dominant.
All right, a couple more things. George Kittle hasn't practiced this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people expect he's going to play, but he hasn't practiced at all, not even limited. And his injury is a calf injury, which I'm always suspicious of because it's connected to the Achilles. And calf injuries in and of themselves are serious, but teams don't have to really tell you the truth. And I think the Warriors called Durant's Achilles injury a calf injury at first. Anyway, gut feel on whether he plays, and do you think the Niners need him to win?
He does play, and they absolutely need him to win. I mean, if you notice what happened on that, I just think that at this point he has so many injuries, right? And I think they're doing it all the right way. He's got the bag now, and I think that if George doesn't come out here and play in this game, it is so detrimental to this team because, listen, the offensive line last week, they didn't really have a good game. I mean, overall, I'm not talking about individual players. I mean, if I had to single anybody out, it's probably Alex Mack, who had a really bad game this week, and Brunskill struggled a little bit. Notice how Mike McGlinchey's fine, though, right? Like, nothing's really been happening to him, at least so far. But at the same time, the way that they utilize him as an extra lineman who can actually run out and catch passes, he's invaluable. They need him to jumpstart this running game. I just don't know if they have the running backs who can do that. Elijah Mitchell would have to play, but they're not going to be able to run outside zone with Trey Sermon. It's just not going to work, I don't think. I don't think he has the speed. I mean, you can tell that Kyle Shanahan didn't really trust him. I mean, for God's sakes, Kyle Juszczyk started the game. He was the first running back on the field. So I don't know what that says too much about Trey Sermon and what he's able to do, but Elijah Mitchell can at least run that outside zone better because he is faster. So if this running game does not get going and they are going to be forced to do what they did, it was so disrespectful what the Packers did on defense. They had safeties in front of the first down marker. That is so disrespectful. You would never see that happen to another quarterback in the league ever, 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 ever. Not in no 2 high sets ever. And that is your key. Remember, I think we did a show, you asked me a question. How do you stop the 49ers offense? Stop the run and attack the middle of the field. Make him throw it out the other. Well, guess what? The memo's out, and everybody's going to be on that. If you can stop the run, now you're putting yourself in a position that you don't want to be in, especially against a team like Seattle who has Russell Wilson.
Okay, I want to come back to George Kittle's calf. I'm not done with it. I'm not certain he's going to play. Here's why I'm skeptical.
Really? Okay.
If this were like a broken rib or something like that, you'd put Toradol, you'd shoot it up and you'd numb it down and you'd play. But a calf injury, it seems like something you could make worse. It seems like something you could make worse. And if he were limited in practice today, I would think, oh, for sure he's going to play. He can't even go through stretches. He can't even go through warmups. It makes me feel like they might worry that he could make it worse. And obviously, he's not someone you can afford. Like, oh, well, we need this game week 4. We got to put him out there and potentially losing the rest of the season. I'm not trying to be alarmist here, but a calf is kind of like it's a soft tissue injury, right? And I don't know, you don't want to lose him for the rest of the season.
No, you don't. But I have to think that he's going to try to push himself out there. I'm betting that he's.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah,
I'm not sure the Niners should let him.
Well, again, it feels like there's a little bit more tension right now. This one feels like I know you don't want to talk about week 4 as being a must win. This feels like a must win because if people are freaking out now.
Feels like week 5 last year against the Dolphins. You were 2-2, and the Niners basically were begged Jimmy Garoppolo to come back. We need you, man. This is our season right here, week 5, and they lost by a lot. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but there's that same kind of urgency right away.
Yeah. And if for all the overreactions and the people going crazy, if you thought that was bad after the Sunday Night Football game, which all credit to Aaron Rodgers, he made some amazing throws, and Davante Adams hopping in and out of concussion protocol. But if you thought that was bad, man, things will get so much worse if the 49ers
don't come at me with that in and out of concussion protocol. I think what happened at the end is my conspiracy here is that the officials basically let it ride on both of them. Like, we could throw Jimmy out of the game. And we could rule Davante Adams out for the rest of the game, but we're going to let him play.
He went into the tent.
You're actually trying to be safe here. Both guys probably should have been done for the night.
He went into the tent and he came out and I saw him on the field and I was like, is that Davante Adams? I was like, what the hell is going on?
If they had thrown out Jimmy Ward and kept Davante Adams or vice versa, it would have been outrageous. So I think they either had to either both of them get to stay in the game or neither of them get to stay in the game. And I get that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that this right now, even though it probably shouldn't feel like this, especially for a team that we feel is capable to win a bunch of games, it shouldn't feel like a must win, but it feels like it, man. It really does. The vibe right now around the fan base, around the organization, and how testy things are getting. Like, Kyle Shanahan is testy right now in all his press conferences and all these answers about, no, it's his fault. No, it's execution. No, it's play design. No, it's a look that we're not ready for. It feels like this one has got a little bit more juice behind it, especially when you talk about who's going to come in here. If it was somebody else, like let's say if the Jets were in here, I don't think there would be so much panic. But it's the Seattle Seahawks, and if you start to lose games in your division, you're not going to catch the Rams because the Rams are firing on all cylinders at this point.
What's the biggest silver lining so far this season for you, for the Niners?
Man, that's a good one. You want to give yours first while I go gather my thoughts real quick?
To me, the biggest silver lining, the thing that gives you the most confidence with this team moving forward is that they really do have a terrific roster filled with players who've won together and know how to win together. And even though they lost this game to the Packers, they made the Packers sweat, and they easily could have been 3-0, and they're really looking pretty mediocre. The coaches look like they're not holding up their end of the bargain right now, but they're still winning more than they're losing. And I think it's a veteran team. I don't think of it being a veteran team because they all came in so young, but Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, the safeties. I think there's such a strong core that they can win in spite of the coaches. They can win in spite of the game plan. They have guys who can make big plays at key moments. It's surprising that Warner and Bosa didn't at the end of this game, but I think more times than not, they will. And I think that's something, I don't know if they're not going to win the NFC West, but if they get in a playoff game, they got a good chance of being more talented than the team they go against. And they have that. That's how they are every week. And if their coaches could pull their heads out of their asses, maybe this team could go somewhere. I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
I think that is the silver lining is that this team hasn't played its best football. And this is kind of the way it was, even in 2019, right? The 49ers didn't really kick it up because even that week 3 game was that Steelers game where they turned the ball over 5 times, but they won all those games. And winning is the ultimate deodorant, right? But at that time, we could have looked at it and said, hey, this team has still not played their best ball yet. And I don't really feel like they started playing really good football until like that Rams game, the first Rams game, which was like, I want to say like week 4 or 5.
Well, actually, the way I look at it, 2019, they played their best ball in September and October and finished the season 5-3 with some injuries. Maybe this year they play their best ball in December and January. How about that?
Well, they're gonna have to in this stretch here because Seattle and Arizona right back to back, man. They're gonna have to win one, if not both of these games. So it's gonna have to happen quick. But yeah, I guess that would be my silver lining is that this team hasn't played its best football. They really don't have too many injuries that are severely hampering this roster in any way. And you have to still believe that this, Kyle Shanahan is going to find a way to kickstart this offense. It's just a matter of how, and I don't know how, and I'm not going to try to tell you how, because everybody knows that the 49ers start with the run and work their way through that. But if the run's not working, then it becomes really easy to slow down this offense.
Yeah, and DeForest Buckner will be back any minute. Okay, sorry. Art Martin, let's take these super chats, and then I gotta go. Art says not that this is gonna happen, but if it did, who will be a good replacement for Kyle? What do you think of Kellen Moore?
All right. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
You can be critical of Kyle right now. I don't know if there's anybody out there who's a better fit for this job right now. I'm sorry. Unless you want to get one of these tried and old dinosaur coaches and you want to feel good about that. Here's the thing. You can say what you want about Kyle Shanahan because he definitely deserves it. And I'm not talking about the Brady stuff. You want to talk about the punting on 4th down. That was disgusting. That was a disgusting display of just like not playing the odds and being smart. I believe that play was the #1 negative play of win percentage of any play of the season from anybody, because it knocked their win percentage down from like 25% to like 12% by punting right there. You've got to play the odds better than that. But at this point, I really don't think that there's anyone out there right now that we know is better. Like, can you say Eric Bieniemy's better? No, he's never done it. Can you say that any of these other guys? Like, there's only like maybe 5 or 7 coaches I know for a fact that might be better than Kyle Shanahan right now. So that's the thing. I understand being critical.
League?
Probably 5 to 7. 5 to 7 that I can say confidently. One of them is Sean McVay at this point.
5 to 7, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Sean McVay, Reed, Peyton, Belichick.
Can he get a winning record first?
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, Bill Belichick, when he was in Cleveland, he had 1 winning year in his first 5 years. So I mean, I'm not trying
I feel you, man. I do. I just feel like what I feel and what certain fans are starting to feel with Kyle is that he's a play caller. Maybe. And all these issues that we have with him are never really with play calling. Although this year, I'm not really into his offense either. And that's why I think it's like, where's the offense?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, that's the part that's got me worried is that the offense isn't rolling.
There's got to be people out there. But Art says, I mean, what I would say to Art is let's let the season finish. You don't have to make this decision yet. Right. In fact, you shouldn't. Yeah. But people that are on my radar, Joe Brady's quite impressive for a 32-year-old who doesn't have a father who was a head coach. I mean, I don't know how he did this, but he's been very Sean McVay-ish, although McVay also had.
Wait, you're talking about the OC? I mean, you're talking about the OC from the Panthers, right?
Yeah, I'm impressed. I mean, I'm not saying I would fire Kyle and hire him, but he's on my radar. I want to see what he does the rest of the year. He's now developed two quarterbacks, but done a good job.
Darnold's doing well over there.
So,
yeah,
what's that?
That's a good one. Darnold's doing well over there. That's a good one.
He's just. I'm curious. I feel like there's a lot of talent out there in coaches. Like in 4647 says, even though he's still playing at a high level, I'm glad we didn't get Brady. This team needs a franchise quarterback. But for Kyle's sake, he's better hopes Trey is the guy.
Yes. I mean, this is the last stand, right? For Kyle, he has to make Trey work because everybody's giving him that leeway of, okay, he's finally got his guy. That's it.
What if it's Yed running the show? I like calling him Yed. I like that.
Yed.
You know, it always is.
Jason.
You still trust Banana Hand.
Banana Hand. I do. I'm gonna go down too. I'm gonna go down with the ship. Most likely one game is not gonna do that. Especially when you consider how close the 49ers were to winning that game and how the narrative would have been completely different if those 30 seconds go off the clock and the 49ers win. So we'll see. But I'm with it.
That's true. I guess again, was Kyle thinking about the seconds on the clock in that last, or was he thinking about his next drive, his plays? Anyway.
Well, all right. So here's the thing. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have to hike that ball with 12 seconds left on the play clock.
Kyle could have told him. I mean, it's on both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andre Rico, 85. I'm not picking sides. When Kyle was on the phone with Lance after the pick, he talked about the vibes they were getting. At Lance next presser, please ask, what vibes are you getting from Kyle right now? How them vibes? When you ask
Say it like that.
Trey
Please say it
Lance
like
a
that.
question, he gives you this look like, you're trying to get me in trouble, man. You're trying to get me in trouble, man. Like, I feel bad. He's 21 and he's just trying to say something that's not going to be a headline.
And I mean, and he didn't pick himself. He doesn't want to be a distraction or anything like that, you know? So, yeah, I agree.
It's a very awkward situation that he didn't ask for. When your top 3 draft picks don't play, this is what happens. No depth. Also, Kittle doesn't look like himself this year.
Looked like it on that last catch in the fourth quarter, man.
That was nice. That was nice.
That was that saved.
Been the same.
Yeah, that's a little bit to be desired. I'll give you that.
QBs that caught Niner attention: Brady, Rodgers, Watson, Flacco, Darnold, Minshew, Stafford, and probably a few others. Thank you for keeping track.
Teddy.
Teddy.
Yeah. Teddy, Mac Jones, pretty much every single like I said, Kyle was on quarterback
Stafford,
tender.
Watson,
swiping right on everything.
I miss KB. He's playing good in New England. Yeah, he was a good player.
Yeah,
he's better than Sanu. Bothers me. Ambry isn't playing. Dude runs a 4.37.
You don't want Ambry Thomas playing right now. You do not want Ambry Thomas playing right now. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Grant, you don't need GK when you got Dwelly, baby. Why can't they get the ball to Dwelly? It's been 3 games and they can't get him a touch. I guess.
Hey, well, look. Did you see what they did on Sunday? I feel like you did this.
What?
Kai Juszczyk. Get him the freaking ball.
Baby steps. Now Dwelly's turn. Tobin says Kittle equals brittle. Kyle seems lost. Culture is rotting. Yeah, Kittle, he has a lot to prove in terms of his durability at this point.
That's why I think he's going to play. Now, whether that's going to be what he should do or what he shouldn't do, I just think that he hears all that.
Oh, he'll push too. He'll push. This is going to – no, Kyle has to make a good decision here. This is not – I know what George is going to want to do, and I respect George for that, but this is on Kyle. Don't let George – hurt himself further if that's something that could happen. The culture is rotting. Kyle seems lost. They're 2-1 though. Now, what I want to say is these are seeds of division. It's not.
That's what I was going to say.
Rot yet? It's 2-1. Yeah. Silver lining is Mitch right. Jason J.
Is Mitch right? Oh, listen. I apologize.
No. You should claim a victory on that one.
No, I didn't claim a victory or nothing. He's showing me up every single time he punts. That's it. I give up, man. It was the right pick. Who cares, man? But you know what? You still should have taken Terry McLaurin over Jalen Hurts. Sorry, I'm never gonna let that one go. This team
be better with Salah's head coach. Well, he's not looking too good in New York.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. I do think that him and Shanahan made a good team for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I don't really like what I'm hearing after the game. Oh, the kid played good. No, Zach Wilson looks like doo-doo right now. Like,
I haven't been listening to Salah's press conferences. Is he?
Yeah, he just was like, "Hey, man, it's a rookie thing, and he's working his tail off, and we're doing well in practice." Those are generic. I mean, I know I want coach speak from coach, but I don't want coach speak right now when it's something that's a little bit more obvious than like you're not doing everything right.
That's looking like it's not going to win more than 4 games.
I don't even know how they win 2 at this point. I really don't.
Not good. Jason, I got a dip though, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you for doing 49ers Coast to Coast with me. You got X-Man, Batman.
X-Men, yeah.
I like
it. Hey, but I'm trying to talk myself out of it, but I don't know, man. That Colts game is the one that I might be back out there for, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's a big one. And
that's gonna be a good
DeForest Buckner revenge game. I gotta be there for that.
Well, I think the Niners are gonna trade for him by then. I think he'll be back.
What, Jimmy for Buckner straight up? Who says no?
Yeah, no, just trade the next 3 first-round picks for him.
Oh my God.
Jason, thanks a lot. Everyone, thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. See you guys.